So my name is Martin Holland. I'm the executive chairman of Cobre, and Cobre is a Spanish word for copper. And we've actually been focusing on copper in Botswana, of all places. There's a short video that I'll start off with, which starts here. It just goes for a minute. So you can see here, this is the Kalahari Copper Belt in Botswana. Cobre has discovered an extensive strike of more than 40 kilometres, with the potential for more than, it says here, 100 million tonnes at 0.5%. The exploration target is about 165 million tonnes at 0.5%, though we think we can possibly double that to in excess of 300 million tonnes. What we're actually looking at doing here is a mining method called in situ copper recovery, which we actually see it to be an environmentally friendly way to produce copper. And this is a bit of like a flow chart here that shows how it works. You get the leaching solution that comes through, which is pumped into the injection well. It's equivalent to a pH of like lemon juice, so lemon and water equivalent. You need the natural porosity and permeability in the ground to actually extract it. It then comes up the solution via these recovery wells, and then it gets pumped into a solution pond. And from this point here, it's a pretty standard process. It goes into a solvent extraction plant. And then once you're on site, you're actually producing a copper cathode at site. It's quite an interesting sort of like method that we're using here. This method pretty much wipes out about 95% of all copper projects globally, mainly because of the overall geological terrain that the project itself actually sits onto. And the view is that we've got here, and the reason that the company can actually use this mining method is because of the geological nature that the deposit sits in. So I guess number one, it has to be dominated by a chapacite. So we've got 40 kilometres ranging from 10 to 30 metres thick, which is all chapacite dominated, so there's no bornite and there's no chalcopyrite in the system at all. Secondly, the deposit has to sit below the water table, so you need this deposit to sit below the water table. And thirdly, it needs to be naturally fractured, so from a porosity and permeability point of view. So all those sort of three things have stacked up to allow us to actually progress this from a desktop point of view. And now we've moved ahead to actually do some in-ground work, which we've actually applied our first pumping test well, which we drilled late last year. And moving on from that, we've actually just drilled a further 5 monitoring wells and also an injection well here to understand the hydrogeological method and modelling of this. So it is currently ongoing at present. So if I just flick through here. So in regards to the capital structure, we sit here at the moment with about $25 million market cap, circa around $4 million in cash in the bank. Our largest shareholder is a company called Strata Investment Holdings. They own around 22% of the company. It's quite important because they've been based in the Kalahari Copper Belt for quite some time. They found the initial A4 and T3 discovery at Mod Resources, and they're the largest shareholder of that, and that ended up getting acquired by Sandfire Resources for $180 million. So they're our largest shareholder, and they've probably invested about $9 million into the company to date. In regards to the second largest shareholder, which is HSBC Group, it's a nominee account, and myself being the third largest shareholder, which is Holland International. We've got a very strong team here, which is mainly African focused as well. So Adam Woolridge is the CEO. He's ex-BHP. And also Dr. Ross McGowan, he got the award for the discovery of Khoemacau, which is the highest grade copper discovery in the world, which is runs by Ivanhoe Mines now. So he got the Lindsay Award for the discovery of that, which is on the board. In regards to our land positioning here itself, it's quite strategic. So we are the second largest landholder of the Kalahari Copper Belt. On one side of us, you've got MMG that has just acquired Khoemacau for $1.9 billion US. And on the other side of us, you've got Sandfire Resources in the middle. We actually believe that we're strategically placed here. All our areas is focused on the basin margins of the Kalahari Copper Belt, where obviously all the main sort of large deposits are found on these basin margins. So we've got the northern and southern part of that, and also drilling along strike MMG to the north, which we're currently drilling at present. So Cobre has a three-pronged approach to discovery. The The first is to explore big, so to think big, and actually find like the next tier one discovery. And like it's easy to say these sort of words, but it's also got some validation for us as a company. So in 2023, there were over 500 explorers globally that applied for the BHP Xplor Award for 2024. And Cobre went through a very thorough process throughout that whole journey. And in the start of 2024, Cobre was one of 5 companies that was awarded the Xplor program for 2024. So that's a huge accolade to our team. What that means is that BHP actually granted us $500,000 in funding. And since then, there's been about 6 meetings that we've had in Toronto with BHP over the last 4 months. It's been extremely intense training that's happened there from a technical point of view. And to a point of view that over a week, it was like every 30 minutes with their team for 8 hours. So they're very investigated into what we're doing as a company here, and also very supportive as well. So what our thought process with them is, it is to think big, is to find the next sort of Escondida. That's what they're looking at it from these basin margins. And they believe the Kalahari Copper Belt has that sort of potential. It's quite interesting when you end up talking to like the CEO of Sandfire or the other guys at MMG. They really believe that this belt hasn't ever really scratched the surface yet, even though it is now a producing copper hub. So there's a huge amount of potential that lies underneath this belt. Secondly is the development potential. In that original video that I showed you, there's been a huge amount of work for us to discover that. There's been in excess of 17,000 meters of drilling that we've drilled over the last sort of couple of years. So we're actually moving ahead now with a development path on that. We've hired METS, which is an engineering group out of Perth, which is doing our feasibility study at present. We're expected to have some numbers out on that in the next sort of 3 to 4 months. I'm expecting quite a large NPV to come out of that project, especially with copper at $4.60. And then on top of that, you've got the strategic target drilling program that we're doing. So we're currently diamond drilling right now, adjacent MMG's recent $1.9 billion acquisition. Any copper that is found there is going to be enormous value. It's not a real focus of the company, but we're just trying to unlock some value there whilst we focus on the other 2 areas that we're looking at present. We've also had a whole range of discussions, obviously with MMG, which are ongoing, and it leaves us in quite a strategic position because you've got BHP that we're working with on one side, and then you've got MMG who met with us and who actually said they've got an 80-year view on this belt, which pretty much says to me that they want to own everything in the belt. So it leaves us in quite a strategic position as a company. In regards to an indicative timeline, the first one is called the Ngami Project, which I said has that in excess of 160 odd million tonnes, which we believe we can double, all chalcocite dominated. We're moving through the process of that now. I expect that we could have a pilot plant up and running next year, which could actually test the first sort of concentrate coming out of this project area. Secondly, we've got the Kitlanya West project, which we're working with BHP. We're actually in the process right now of doing some seismic, active and passive seismic over the area. We've done a huge amount of work here, a huge amount of sampling, a huge amount of RC to actually define these targets, and we're actually probably be in a position to drill them in September this year. We also have BHP coming to site on the 15th of May, and they're coming out for a couple of weeks. That's the last sort of end of the due diligence period, and then we look to make an investment proposal with them and see how that goes in June, July this year. And then in parallel with that, we've got the Okavango Copper Project, which we're currently drilling at present. So we're doing we're doing 7 diamond holes there, roughly around 200 meters each, and we're currently onto our 3rd hole of those 7 holes at present. So building on the successful 2023 program, we completed 5,300 meters of diamond drilling, 12,000 meters of RC, 8,500 samples collected, and we also did a 9,000 square kilometer aerial gravity gradient survey in collaboration with Sandfire Resources, which they funded half of that for us. So we've got a collaboration agreement in place with Sandfire, a collaboration agreement in place with BHP, and we're also doing our own sort of focus, but there's no hooks on any of this, so Cobre owns 100% of these projects at present. So investment summary, vast land package, so quite a major land holding here that we've got, around 6,000 square kilometres in total, accelerated development potential in Botswana, support from BHP, in situ copper recovery project. This is like the holy grail of copper mining, really. If you can actually pull it off, you're talking 4 times cheaper from a capex perspective than an open pit mine. It's modular, so you can actually, there's no reason to actually build the whole plant at once. So you can actually just keep on going on with wells on a modular perspective, so very low capex, and you end up producing a copper cathode on site. So I really believe this is the holy grail of copper mining if it does work, and if it does, it'll be transformational for the company. And also a top African mining jurisdiction, so Botswana ranks as top 10 globally from a mining-friendly, attractive point of view. Experienced leadership and strong fundamentals in the copper sector.